Welcome to the STARS program, seniors taking active roles in society. And now, here's your host, Anita Finley.
Well, it's a pleasure for me to bring Melinda Ellsworth to you, our audience. She's Director of Donor Services at Science Care. She's calling in from Phoenix, Arizona. Welcome to our show, Melinda.
Thank you. Thank you for having me again.
Oh, well, such a pleasure. And Melinda, it has a great article on page 15 of the new Boomer Times magazine. It's the one for June. It's called Organ and Body Donation, Giving Back in More Ways Than One. It was an excellent article. And do you want to elaborate a little bit on this?
Yes. So what's interesting about donation for medical research is that this is a way for people to give back as a final gift, leave a truly lasting legacy to help patients for future generations to have improved health care and improved health for all of us. And not only is this option available, but you can combine this with what people traditionally think of as organ donation for transplant. So not only can people donate for transplant, but they can also donate to Science Care or a program like Science Care to leave tissues for medical researchers, educators, students, practicing physicians, practicing surgeons to develop the newest and latest medical technological advances to help patients today. And it's a wonderful way to give back.
Well,
hello?
Yeah, no, I'm listening.
Hey, are you there?
Yeah.
I thought I lost you.
No, you didn't.
What I wanted to talk to you today a little bit about was that recently we've been working with the Miami Brain Endowment Bank. This is a brain bank that is specifically working to unlock the mysteries of brain disorder and brain disease, such as Alzheimer's, neurological diseases such as Parkinson's and things like that. And on our website, we have a great article from Dr. Deborah Mash, who is the founder and director of that program. And so donors through Science Care are able to participate with the Miami Brain Bank program, as well as with other programs that we may be working with, and directly impact the way that we're able to develop and treat these very important diseases such as Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. I would really encourage anyone who's interested in any type of particular disease research to go to our website, sciencecare.com, and look at the medical research aspects and really dig into why donation is truly impacting the development of new techniques, new surgical techniques, new treatments for existing diseases today.
That is great news. And I was thinking as you were talking, would you like her to write a column for Boomer Times?
Oh, that would be fabulous. I'm sure she would love to do that.
Why don't you do that? As a matter of fact, and see, she's at the University of Miami?
Yes, she's affiliated with the University of Miami.
But sure. She's down here in Miami.
Yes.
And what is her degree in?
I believe she's a neuropathologist.
A neuropathologist. Wow. So my question is, it sounds pretty exciting. We've had this Cure Symposium that we have twice a year, and we have cutting-edge information. Do you think that would be interesting for her to be one of our speakers?
Absolutely. I just spoke to her recently, and I thought she made a great statement that the knowledge that we have of the human brain and the way that it works and the diseases affecting the human brain is truly an untapped frontier. We know nearly nothing about these diseases and how to stop them, slow them, change the course of their progression. And that's what her foundation is entirely focused on.
Wow.
So it's very important that they get the donations of human brains, both diseased and healthy, at the time of passing so that they can do their important work.
Well, Melinda, we never know what's going to happen when you come onto the radio. You know that?
True.
So I'm going to give you the responsibility of asking her to get in touch with me, and then I'll fill her in on both things, how to write an article, and then also, in fact, I'll put her in the Medical Minds. I have a special page that we use Scripps and some other places all over the world or country to give us a little column about something new. So I'll do that. But even more importantly, we'll invite her to be one of the speakers for the Cure Symposium.
Oh, that would be fabulous.
Yeah.
Yes. It's so, we're trying to collaborate to help get the word out about how important donation is at the time of passing, not only for brain research, but for all types of research. We just had an article that we posted on our website about arthritis treatment and the innovations there that are credited to whole-body donors. Dr. Nathan Way, he's an interventional rheumatologist from Maryland. He is developing groundbreaking treatments for arthritis, and he really believes that without cadaveric tissue donation, he wouldn't be able to do the magnificent things that he's doing today, because he is engaging in surgical techniques to help reduce the pain from arthritis, not just drugs and other interventions, but surgical techniques. And so with cadaveric tissue, he's able to develop those techniques and show others how to do them as well.
Huh. Well,
yeah.
So did you ever think that this was going to take on this look? When you and I first talked a few years ago, we never discussed this like this. So now it seems like more and more it's becoming the frontier of why we want bodies and brains and things we can get.
Yes, and I think the public perception is really changing. Their attitude toward giving back through tissue donation is really changing. I think that the organ donation industry has really done a great job of educating the public of how donation for transplant is so beneficial. And so we're able to tap into that shared knowledge with the public and say, yes, you can also do this, which is donation to research. And it also has equal value to the public. And so I think we're really starting to see a movement develop here of folks that want to donate. You know, every month I look at the data to see of all of the donors that go through the program, how they hear about us. Overwhelmingly, most people hear about us from a friend or a family referral, so someone who has gone through the program before them. And I think that speaks volumes to how important this service is, not only to medical research, but to the families and to those survivors who are dealing with the grief and death of their loved one, that this is a way for them to feel good about giving back. It's a way for them to put some context of this person's death and be positive that they were able to give back in such a wonderful way.
That's true. And also, I love the idea that you plant a tree. After a year, you plant a tree for them.
Yes, people love this too. Yes, 1 year after donation, we send a certificate to each family and let them know that we work with the Arbor Day Foundation to plant a tree in their honor in a forest of need. And 1 year it was actually in Florida. Every year it's in a different area of need. And so far we've planted 35,000 trees.
Oh, my goodness.
I know. It's lovely. And we're also now planting trees for every single research program that we work with. So we'll be adding to this every year in honor of the work that the researchers do as well.
Well, it's funny how you and I can be so enthusiastic about people dying, but it isn't. I'm just being a little facetious, but the fact that we are going to die, and what are we going to do with that body? And are we just going to put it in the ground and put some metal around us, or are we going to just burn us up? Or why don't we do something that is responsible and let us donate our body? I just think it's a great idea, and I can't tell enough people about this. As a matter of fact, I now have taken on a lot more as a gerontologist in South Florida. I will be offering help to people if they need advice, and it's not anything paid for. It's just I want to help people. I know so much, and it seems like that's what my new mission is. We still, of course, have our company, but there are people who are starving for answers, and they don't know where to get them. And this will be something that I will be able now to talk about. So if someone is dealing with the death of a loved one, I can bring a little joy and explain that, but there's something you can do which would keep that person actually almost immortal.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and it's a way to honor their memory through this gift, and it truly is a gift. And not only is this a gift, like I said, to medical science, but the service that we try to provide to the families. I'm constantly looking for ways to deliver a level of service that people do not expect, because this is such a difficult time, no matter what the circumstances of the passing of a loved one, that we want to be able to help them through this process simply, easily, with care and compassion, and we want to be able to offer them as many resources as possible outside of the scope of our service, right? So if they're struggling with grief, our donor services coordinators can help them to find a professional in their area. Or if they're looking to hold a memorial service or a celebration of life, our coordinators will help them to find a funeral home in their area to arrange all of that. So not only do we provide the service of donation and the cremation and return of remains, all at no cost, but we really want to help people through this difficult time. And I think that's another important aspect of the value of the service to our consumers.
Well, let's go through the nitty-gritty part of this. So someone passes away, they have the phone number because, let's say, they are already a member of Science Care. And let me just back up a minute. ScienceCare.com is the way you would find out information. And the phone number to call, get your pencils out, it's Pencil Talk Radio, is 1-800-417-3747. That's 417-3747. So someone calls, and they become a member, and it's free to become a member. They send you a card, they send you information. Now you're a member, and someone, whether it's you die or someone that you love has become a member, they die. Tell us exactly, moment to moment, what happens.
Absolutely. So we're available 24 hours a day, and you can call us to ask questions or to begin the process at any time. Our donation services coordinators are trained to be able to educate you or educate your family members at the time of that call with as much or as little detail as they need or want. And then we'll begin the actual process of determining if we can place the donor into a medical or research program at this time. Nearly everyone will qualify. We'll do about a 5 or 10-minute medical questionnaire, and this tells us if we're able to place the donor with research. And over 90% are able to participate. The key rule-outs are contagious disease at time of passing, and that would be things like HIV, hepatitis B or C, maybe active syphilis or active TB, something like that. And potentially extreme obesity or extreme underweight donors. So once we get through that 5 or 10-minute questionnaire, we can tell the loved one, yes, we're able to proceed with donation. Now here's what's going to happen. I'm going to determine who the proper legal next of kin are to consent to both the donation and the cremation. We will send them emails, and those emails will contain the consent authorization, a bunch of resource information, a form to fill out so that we can process the death certificate, and a little bit more detail on the medical history, which will help us to place the donor, with as many research projects as possible. And keep in mind that when we do place donors with projects, on average, one donor will go to 5 different medical research and training programs. So we'll send that whole phone call there can take 15 minutes, let's say. And then we work to contact our partners in the area, our funeral home partners or our transport company partners, to come out to the site of passing and do the physical removal of the donor. And we'll let the family know what that ETA is for arrival, typically within an hour, hour and a half. And then once we have that donor into our care, we continue to stay in touch with the family. And we help them through the paperwork process. We give them more information if they need that. We tell them how to go get the death certificates once they're filed with the county. We check in with them a few days later to see how they're doing, see if they need any more resources locally. Make sure that they have a family support network or a friend support network. So we're just constantly staying in touch with them throughout the process. Once the donor comes into our care and we've received all the paperwork to proceed, we're going to draw blood from that donor to test for contagious diseases. We need to make sure that there is no contagious disease. So once we do that, then we are procuring tissue, And that tissue then is going out, typically right away, to medical research programs. The tissue not utilized for medical research is then quickly sent to cremation and returned to the family in 3 to 5 weeks. So this whole process happens in really about 4 weeks, including the remains return. And families can either do a memorial service or celebration of life if they choose immediately after the passing, with or without the remains, or they can wait until they have the remains and they can do that. We can help them to put them in contact with a local funeral home to help them set up a celebration of life if they choose. And then, like I said, a year after passing, we will also get in contact with them, send them a certificate that lets them know of the tree planting in honor of that donation. And that's when we typically hear from the family again. The anniversary of the donation is a very sensitive time, and we often like to talk to the families at that time.
Wow. And you have, when your company first started, I don't think you did all that, did you?
Nope. All of these processes have evolved over time. We do a survey after the donation with the families to try and get as much information as possible about what they liked, what they didn't like, what they would like to see for other families. And we continually evolve and improve our service delivery. For example, offering a written document at the time of donation with some resources and some guidance to help them through the difficult process of the days to come, that developed from feedback from next of kin. So we love feedback, and we want everyone to complete that survey and help us to develop a better and stronger process for everyone.
Well, I remember referring someone to you, their son in his 20s, who lived in another state, and it was so horrible for the mother, you can imagine, and she's here in South Florida, flying up there, and just being able to say, look, there's something that you need to know, because he didn't have any money, and I mean, she isn't a rich person, she works like all of us, and the fact that you would take care of the body, it was free, and then she knew that something good would happen with her son, even though she was in such a state of disbelief and trauma. So I saw this working already.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of times when we're dealing with people at the time of passing, they are in that moment of shock and trauma, and so we're trying to help them just get through the steps of everyday life, of the things that they need to do. And then when we're contacting them later, it's like they're a completely different person, because now they're in grief, and now they really need some help and support, and we try to help provide that for them. And I think that what helps them through some of that grief is reflecting back and looking at the valuable gift of donation, and how other people, actual patients today, as well as in the future, are really benefiting from body donation.
Yep, this really was brought about, I think, by the baby boomers coming into the forefront, because the baby boomers aren't as traditional as the older adults, because I've said this before, that many times if you're now 80, 90, 100 years old, this was what you did when you first got married, or that's what everybody did. Families had burial plots. And I think it's just one of the changes, just like technology has taken over so much. And this is the new way to not to be forgotten. I mean, for you to do something that's really good, have everything taken care of, doesn't cost any money. I mean, how good can that be? And do you work?
I think you're right. I think the non-traditional mindset, I think you hit the nail right on the head there, but also, too, if you notice, what we're seeing is that families are all over the country. Families no longer stay typically in one town, one county, for generations and generations. So the process of the death, the funeral, the memorial service is much different. The timing of that has changed significantly. And all of these things combined, as well as, keep this in mind too, the boomers are also recipients of this changing technology in medical science, right? So hip replacements, knee replacements, pacemakers, cochlear implants, inner ear implants, all of these things that are being developed through whole body donation and medical research, the boomers today see the benefit. They can make that full circle story from their own experience and want to give back in the same way.
Absolutely. It's interesting that we see the robotic surgery. We see so much that's come about now because people are living longer, but because the baby boomers are much more demanding. And this, I would see as one of the cutting edge new things that are happening, that is happening rather. And I just am thrilled that I've known you and that I've been able to help with this and that our own family has this. And I of course, don't want anyone to die in my family, but if that should happen, I would certainly want it to be taken care of by Science Care. And we're very fortunate that Melinda found us and we found her and that we're able to work with them so closely. It's one of our pleasures. And of course, when we first started talking about organ and body donation, it's like, I don't know how this is going to work because we have a very upbeat radio show and magazine, but it has worked because people want answers, and especially when I saw my friend and what it did for her, and I know it will do that for everybody. I'm very thrilled. And the other thing, it's very simple to get enrolled. This doesn't take anything but just a call, and then they send you the information, they send you a card, and that's it.
Yep, absolutely. You can call anytime and they will send you information or sign you up online right away, or you can just go on our website, click a button, and you'll be signed up. And you can also go online and sign up for our newsletter that we send out. People love this newsletter. They get information about health and wellness and how medical research is really impacting patients. It's very positive, and it's chock full of good information. And every time I'm on this show, I'm telling you, we get so many registrations and actual donors from hearing us talk about this in such a detailed way. I think that is what is helpful to the consumer to understand it, is that we get a chance to really dig into this and really understand the details of the process and the service of donation for families, as well as the benefit to medical research. So I thank you for allowing me to come on.
Oh, it's a great pleasure because I want to do this. This is my mission, to help the older adults and the younger adults here and have something that works for them. And just getting back to what you said, Melinda, because it is true. When someone passes away, I mean, I don't care how prepared you think you are, whether they've been in hospice or they've had cancer for 5 years, it's traumatic. And they need someone like your organization. Now, when they call, who will answer the phone?
We have a team of donor services coordinators. They are all trained to do the exact same thing. Listen to your concerns, educate you, and walk you through the process as quickly, simply as possible. So that's good. And one thing that we were told, now, of course, if you're out of the country, we can't help you. I mean, that's too bad. But if you're in the country, mostly anywhere, you said, you would be... absolutely.
Anywhere.
Yeah, anywhere except for the state of Minnesota and New Jersey. They have their own specific laws about transporting donors out of the state. But any other state, we can process donation and accept donation. So give us a call.
Yep, that's what you have to do, right? And I will give you that number again because it's a very important number. It's let's just give you the 800 number. It's 800-417-3747. That's 1-800-417-3747. And it is 24 hours a day. And their website is quite good. So you can get on there and you can actually enroll on the website if you want to do it that way. It's sciencecare.com. And like to dwell more in the science again. What we started, hopefully you've been listening to the whole show, but if not, and you just tuned in, Melinda Ellsworth, who's the director of donor services there, was telling us about a doctor who said, and she is into pathology and neurology, and if she didn't have the bodies to be able to research, she would never be making the headway that they're making.
Absolutely. They need human tissue in order to study the diseases, neurological and brain diseases, such as Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and even mental disorders, because the brain and knowledge of the brain and the workings of the brain is such an unknown frontier. And they're really trying to find ways to slow down the progression of some of these diseases, and they can only do that through the use of donated human tissue. And so, we're trying to partner with the Miami Brain Bank Endowment Bank and help them to have access to this tissue, because they need more than what they're getting today.
So that's something so new that people would not have thought that. As a matter of fact, I was really floored when I heard one of our it was the professor over at Scripps Research, and he was giving a lecture, and he said, now, if anybody is a little squeamish about body parts you may want to leave, and nothing would do, but he pulled out a brain to talk about the brain, to discuss the neurological impact, and I'll never forget that, because we don't see these things. They're just, there's a picture on the wall, a PowerPoint, but to see the real brain just, it was pretty exciting.
It is very exciting. And, if you think about it, there are, not just with the Miami Brain Endowment Bank, but surgeons who are dealing with brain surgery specifically, and especially brain tumors and cancer. They really need human tissue in order to be able to practice those techniques and develop and improve those techniques. I mean, this is serious, serious surgery we're talking about here. And if they don't have the opportunity for hands-on surgical training and development, it's a disservice to patients. So this is the type of work that our donors are helping to facilitate.
Yep, that's really great. Now, and when you said about the trees at the end, that's always fascinating for me. So at the end of the year, after they have passed away, so you must have this going all the time, because you have a year of progress. So how do you pick each of the places?
Well, we choose a location once a year, and so all of the trees that are planted in that year will go to that location. I see. Every year we change. Yeah, the very first year it was actually Seminole Forest in Florida. And and then we did one in California, and last year I believe it was the Platte in near the Denver, Colorado area, because they had such a horrible fire in that area, and they needed to do a lot of replanting, and so we worked with them. And then now this year we're actually opening a facility in Philadelphia, and so we've partnered to plant in the Appalachian Mountain region.
It's great. Melinda, this is wonderful, and we thank you so much for taking your time. Melinda Ellsworth calling in from Phoenix, and we look forward to hearing from you again. And you're going to follow up with that doctor, and I'm going to follow up with our Cure Symposium. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, Melinda.
Bye.